welcome back. We are going to start looking at lists in a bit more detail now and looking at different things that we can do with them. So if we just get started by writing a list, and remember a list is square brackets, I'm going to do the list up to number 11, and then what we're going to do is just create a print function, and inside of there we're just going to print out the list. And if we just run this, you'll see that we get the list exactly as we wrote it, which is different again to remember the dictionary, which prints out in the hashed order rather than in the declared order. So what we can do from here is if we use square brackets within the call, so list and then put square brackets in there, we can put information between the two square brackets which tell us what sort of information it is that we wish to retrieve. So we can retrieve a certain item using the index value. So remember, it starts at 0, 1, 2. So the second index item is actually the third value, and as you can see we get number 3 out. Or we can change that to say number 4 and we'll get the number 5 out, because that's the fourth index. However, we can also use negative numbers, and a negative number would take it from the right hand side and go backwards. So negative 1 gives us 11, and negative 4 will give us 8, and so on. So you can, if you want to go from the right hand side to the left, you could do it that way, which is probably the easiest way of doing it. However, there is another way in which you can do it, and you can work out the length of a list by using a function called len. And what that does, just remove that line, what that does is it tells us that the length is 11. So from there you could create a variable called length is equal to length of list, and if you wanted the 4 from the end you could do list, and then we'll do length minus 4, and that will give us number 8 again. So that's exactly the same as doing minus 4 as it was before. However, this time it allows you to see what is actually happening. Now I would recommend that you did it the first way, where you just put the minus 4 in straight away, because you get the exact same answer. However, it receives one less function call, which obviously makes it a little bit faster. And also it's better coding because you can actually, it's more condensed, so you can fit more on one line. So if something goes over multiple lines, it usually gets harder to read, and so on. So I would recommend that you learn and you recognise that minus numbers go from the right to left, and positive numbers go from left to right. And left to right starts at 0, but from right to left starts at minus 1. Okay, so the next thing that we can do is we can add something called a sequence, which is if we wanted to select all the numbers from number 2 to number 4. So this is the start and this is the stop value. However, the stop value is one more than where it actually stops. So this will stop at index 3. So you get 3 and 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Now notice number 4 hasn't actually been outputted. And the reason for that is simply because it stops at the value beforehand. Now there is a way to get around that, and that is simply just to put it as a value higher than what it is that you want to stop, and that allows you to now get up to value 4. However, there's also the possibility that might confuse you, so just remember that it goes to one value higher than what it is that you've written. I mean, one value less than what it is that you've written. Now, because we have the start and the stop, we also have a third option, which is called the stepper. And the stepper, you just add another colon and you can choose how much to step by. So I'm just going to change this value here to 8. And if we run this, you'll see we get 3, 5 and 7. So we start at number 2, which is this index here. Then we skip 2, and this is our next value. Then we skip 2, and this is our next value. So if we were to change this to 10, for example, then we get it ran up to 9. And that is the general idea of how this stepper works. However, you do have the option, if you don't want to declare the where to stop, you can have 2, 2, and that will start at number 2 and skip its way, or step its way up to until it reaches the end. Or if you don't want to start at any particular index and you want to start at the beginning, you can do it that way. with colon 2, and so there are multiple options which you have here, and again you can do colon 4 colon 2, which will get it from the beginning up to index 4, well, one less than index 4, which is index 3, and so on. So this is the general idea in which you can use sequences to select certain ranges of data within your actual list, which is considerably useful when you come to using these to store information about, say, a user or about a program that you're using, like a settings file. It is useful to be able to use sequences and to be able to use the start and stop. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.